I will read you a list of adjectives that have been used to describe your music. Tender, moving, passionate, delicate, stimulating, challenging, disturbing. Would you choose one among the others?
I mean, all of those and more. I don't know what to say. It's very hard when people react to your music, how they interpret it. Because sometimes I've read also very bad things people say, it's not good because in a way when you're thinking about it, you're not really, you have a different intention. So in a way, I choose to just leave everybody have their own opinion how they want to. I know for myself when I'm working on certain things, I'm trying to do things that I think are interesting. So I try to think about that, think about form and architecture a lot, but also emotion, both those things. But in a way, not to talk so much about it, just to try to experiment with the music and see how it works, and let the people react the way they do.
And especially don't want to give just one color to your music, but to be as rich, as much rich as possible.
I think the music is, in the sense that it's an expression of yourself, then you can go in many directions. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something, that people assume is emotional. You know what I mean? In other words, it's something that it's sort of a double thing where you're using your mind, but also your heart. So you have to sort of have all those things. And one of the hardest things is to try to make it sound natural and just, it came out. Even if you worked hard on it, it shouldn't sound forced and labored. It should sound, just right the way it goes. Well, sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you don't achieve it. You try to. Sometimes it helps to have different perspectives, to work on something, then leave it alone, and then to look at it anew, and then all of a sudden you see, I see what I can do with the architecture. And then it becomes something that maybe you didn't even imagine it could be when you were working on it, but you also have your critical aspect, that arranges and to change it, make it shorter, make it more to the point. And all those things are good. It's really fun to edit. It's fun to just create and to write a lot. And okay, I'm in a feeling and I'm going to write. And then it's also good the next day to say, wait a minute, this is what it is. This is extraneous. You don't need that. So you have to use both things.
Your career seems to be dominated by colors in a way. The opposite colors of the keyboard of the piano. We know that only a white keyboard wouldn't play without the black notes. And the colors of the different type of music, the classical, the jazz, and the Jewish music, again, colors. And the different colors of the people you play with. It seems to be a multicultural way of making music. Can it be a way to destroy the barriers of mankind? I'm thinking of what French is doing with Rome people. I mean, is there a way that music can...
Well, of course, music has always been that crossroads where either if you're coming together as a group of people that are all coming from different places or one person that's just experienced many different types of musical experiences in different parts of the world, you can put that all into your music. It also might just be a natural outgrowth of living in New York City, which is a very cosmopolitan city. It's not the only city like that, of course. There's many cities like that, but the idea that people come there from all different parts and bring what they bring from where they come from and try to combine it with other musicians, it's a good feeling there for that. In terms of the politics of something like what you're talking about with Sarkozy, that's in a way an old story, but in a way it's amazing that it keeps on happening over and over again. So it's one of those things where I guess I would say I shouldn't really be so surprised that this happens over and over again. I know in the United States there's a lot of problems like that happening now ever since Obama was elected. You're talking about things that sort of are dormant for a while and then they come up and then something happens and then maybe they have to calm down again. They can calm down again, but other times it's just being used by politicians, I think, to stir people up so that they can get elected. I know in the United States, I don't speak so much about other countries where I'm not really part of it, but in the United States, because I live there. And
yeah, but you're allowed to. Here in San Marino, you're allowed to speak.
all right, okay, so this is an enclave of sanity, but in terms of the you know, the recurring thing that happens in history like that, especially when people are fearful and they start to, you know, take it out on other people as if that's the problem, those people, those strangers. That's an old story.
They cause my problems.
Right. And so that's one good thing I think about music is that you have to take responsibility for yourself sometimes. You know, if you're really working on something like that, it's really something that you do and you try to do it as best you can. Like you said, with other like-minded people. That's the ideal. There's not rhetoric. It's really just a question of trying to come together and create something good.
I heard an interview, a short interview made by a man a few minutes after Obama was elected. He said, I'm 56 years old, I live in New York, and for the first time I'm so proud to be American. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people were very proud because it represented something. I'm not sure that that same feeling that was in 2008 after Obama was elected is now, because now there's a lot of people that are, first of all, disappointed that maybe things didn't change the way that they hoped that they could change. Because in the United States, really, I'm not even sure the president runs the country. Do you know what I mean? I think it's really the corporations and the companies. And also because of the influence of money in American politics. It's just so clear that if you give money, and these big companies now have the right to give unlimited amounts of money. That's a new Supreme Court decision from this year. Before it was limited, the Supreme Court has said that it's a matter of free speech, that everybody can pay as much as they want. So conceivably, a billionaire from China could start an ad campaign against a senator in one of the states, and nobody really knows where the money comes from and who it is. So I think that that's a problem. I mean, I think that at least, you know, there was some hope for change and moderation after 8 years of George Bush. And Obama certainly represented that. But whether it's enough to really change the direction of the United States, especially because it's a country that has so many problems,
It's complicated.
Very
It's
complicated.
Very
Very big country and very many forces. And also a lot of people that in a way are living different lives. I mean, if you live in New York, you're living it in a certain way, which is not the way people in Texas live, is not the way people in Louisiana live. And you really see that if you get in a car and start driving across the United States, just to see how the people are living. And you realize it's an enormous country. It's extremely complex. Even Americans don't understand what's going on there a lot of the time. And so, you know, in the sense that there's certain, I guess, overall characteristics, especially when it comes to politics and elections, it's interesting.
It's a sort of richness. It's something rich.
It's a lot of contradictions. It's in America. And I think, like in many countries, the history that people don't really like to talk about because it's painful is brushed aside. Yeah. And so in that sense, I don't know, I'm interested in that history. I like to see what's going on underneath, because it's even on a neutral way, just to say, what is the truth? How did this come to be this way? So in that sense, the United States is a very dynamic country, because it's still changing all the time. New people coming in. And, you know, certainly, like the experience that my family had when they came to the United States. They loved the United States. Because
When did they come?
They came probably around 1900. And they came from Eastern Europe and Russia. And they were very poor people when they came to the United States. And then they succeeded. And so in the sense that they loved America, that was a great thing. But my father also was sort of like the head of the American Civil Liberties Union in Philadelphia, which is, many people think, a very left-wing organizations of lawyers against the Vietnam War, defending people that didn't want to fight in the war, a civil rights lawyer. So a lot of my youth growing up was being on the telephone and hearing the police listening. So in a way, I had a certain view of what was going on through what I saw my father was going through and a lot of the people that he was dealing with. That era is over for many people. Do you know what I mean? My father's an old man now. That was the 60s and the 70s when a lot of things changed in the United States, but then it sort of became conservative again. So it's very interesting history, but it's complicated.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your kindness.
All right.
For your time.